Fresh off of an AI conference in Singapore, we have Charlie Hu. He is the founder of Coco AI, and he has a ton of insights that he's gathered from the AI conference he just attended, attendees from the United States, China, Singapore, and all over the world. Charlie, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Nick. Looking forward.
All right, let's talk about what you learned in Singapore, which is where you are today. That's your home base. What were the main takeaways? AI, of course, it seems to be reinventing itself every few weeks. So, what do people need to learn from your latest experience?
Yeah, for the people who didn't attend the Super AI conference that happened last week in Singapore, the biggest, highest level AI conference every year happening in Singapore, and I think Singapore is becoming a very interesting AI hub. Between the West and East. There's a couple of reasons I can unpack. One, I've been in Singapore since 2021. I've been living here full time. This is a very interesting city. It's a small, tiny city, right? In South Asia, which connects to a lot of the financial hubs. Like there's a lot of family office here. There's a lot of major sovereign funds such as Temasek, GIC are here. With AI, the interesting thing is a lot of the big corporates from the United States, such as Google, AWS, Meta, they have big office here with thousands of employees based in Singapore for many years already, right? And then you have all these Chinese hyperscalers as well. Alibaba, Tencent, ByteDance, they have thousands of people here as well. So I spoke in multiple side events last week, and I said this multiple times. Singapore probably is the only city in the world which is very high density in terms of companies, in terms of startups, in terms of VCs, and also a lot of AI talents in one city, right? You can literally work within walking distance. You can attend a lot of the Chinese tech companies conference in the morning. Then you can speak or meet all these OpenAI, Cursor, Google's event in the afternoon. And in the evening, you can meet a lot of the local South Asia local companies from Singapore, from Malaysia, and so on. There's no other city in the world have that kind of neutrality, openness, and high density. So I think that makes Singapore, geographically speaking, very interesting as an AI hub, right? And from the conference I saw, which I attended last year as well. Last year, same time, pretty much end of June, there was no AI agent hype, right? OpenClaw didn't came out. It was 3 months before OpenClaw came out. So everybody was talking about more like desktop version AI agents you can use to get some work done, but it's still like consumer level, individual level. And I would say last year, one of the hardest, most impressive startup was Manus. Manus AI, which previously acquired by Meta, recently actually get a dissolved. They actually split again, right? Due to some complicated reasons. They were one of the hardest and the most impressive company last year. And this year, I have to say, kind of follow up what Jensen Huang from NVIDIA said in the CES. 2026 is the year of a physical AI. It's no longer just pure digital, pure software. So the most impressive company I saw from Super AI this year is definitely Plaud, Plaud. I have nothing to do with this company. I'm not an investor. I don't actually use them that much, but it was pretty interesting. I saw the way they're being sharing their product. They actually have this like hardware you can easily attach to your phone. And obviously that's another topic we can talk about privacy or whatnot. Basically in the AI era, a lot of the conversation people wants to record it, right? So you can transcribe the audio into words and you can feed into AI. So that's kind of be helpful on your CRM system, a lot of things. So Plaud has been selling very successfully around the globe. They had a lot of new features they had released, announced on Super AI conference. I personally find it was very interesting and pretty impressive. So I kind of see the trend from the pure software AI agent before OpenClaw and now post OpenClaw era. Everybody kind of know what is Open AI agent now. So now it's like, okay, what about real world? What about word model? What about physical AI? What about getting things done in real 3D reality, not just in your laptop? So I think there's interesting trend, shift happening from last year to this year.
And when we spoke a few weeks ago, I found it fascinating that you said I can meet Alibaba in the morning and OpenAI in the afternoon,
Yeah.
all in Singapore. It seems to be one of the great AI hubs developing right now around the world. Before we get to your company, Coco AI, Charlie, uh, and how and why you started this company
Yeah.
in the agentic commerce world.
Right.
I just want to hit on a couple current events with you so
Mm,
that people can get a little bit of understanding where we are today
mm,
in such a quick changing, fast changing world. We have SpaceX IPO and then immediately acquire Cursor. I want your thoughts there.
yeah.
And we also have Fable 5 released, then withdrawn from the market, bringing up a lot of issues. People are upset at Anthropic. I
Mm,
see some
mm,
lawsuits being levied at Anthropic now as
mm,
well. You have the US government getting involved, and
mm,
then people getting once again obsessed with the open models
mm.
and understanding that this is the exact reason people should have some diversity in terms of the models they're using, which I know applies to your company. But let's start with SpaceX and Cursor. What were your thoughts there?
Well, first of all, thanks, Nick, for those great questions. These are great topics to talk about. And actually, first time I get a chance to properly get asked and to share my takes. So first of all, we were very active, heavy user of Cursor. Cursor is a great company. They started a couple of years ago, right? They were one of the first in the category of AI powered software engineering IDE, right? They, you know that we have to respect that as in terms of positioning, being the first mover. They were very focused on developer community. We were the user, right? Before we started Coco, we were heavy user, and we'll talk about our founder journey and how we started Coco, the backstory. But this acquisition event is definitely very inspiring. First of all, it's a big number. It means it's a huge success. It's a milestone, huge home run success for a startup, right? Which is less than 5 years old. Just a bunch of graduate students from Berkeley, from MIT, right? They are able to achieve so much, build such a big ecosystem, and have the acquisition, get sold to the biggest IPO company, which can send a human to Mars, right? It's like the most inspiring story ever in the tech history, probably. But I have to say that after all the buzzword, big news, what you see is the signal of developer community having active users using a tool, and you build an interesting ecosystem as use cases in AI is valuable. That valuable of network effect, getting interesting users to keep using you and feeding you data. That data flywheel is huge amount of intangible assets. So Cursor, I don't have that balance sheets, like kind of like I'm not that CFO and whatnot. I'm not the investor, so I don't have access to that financial data. I don't think they're that profitable as a tech company. Most of tech company, even the IPO, they're not making so much huge profits, right? They're like big on revenue, but they have huge burn rate as well. I think Cursor is like that as well. I have to, although I respect them a lot, I feel like they are still kind of cash burning business. And so how and why they deserve 60 billion valuation? It's about the intangible assets. It's about the community they have. It's about the amount of active heavy user of developers, which is valuable, right? That's what the reason that the smartest and richest guy, Elon Musk, want to acquire, spending 60 billion worth of SpaceX shares, right? And I think it's kind of like a causality that because SpaceX IPO was so successful, now their market cap, in total market cap, is over 2 trillion. Crazy number, right? A lot of people didn't see that coming. I'm their proud investor holding their stock. But again, if it's, I kind of feel that event, if you remember, right, the news came out a couple months ago. It was a right. So meaning if the stock price tank, IPO was massively failure. So probably that acquisition wouldn't happen, right? And because the IPO is so successful, stock price is so high, and they can dilute way less compared to different numbers to finish the acquisition. So it's not a cash deal, it is a stock acquisition deal, right? So they're using SpaceX stock, which is 2 trillion or whatever high number market cap, to exchange to buy the entire company of Cursor. And what is the value of Cursor? It's this user number, the amount of very heavy user of Cursor, the developers, the community around the globe, right? And obviously they build a great product. They have their own coding agent based kind of large model based on Kimi 2.5's open source model, right? It's called Composer 2.5, which has pretty high ranking on benchmark and so on and so forth. So I think for a company like us and many others who are building things in AI, this is definitely a very inspiring story, right? Last year, Manas had an acquisition of 2.6 billion acquired by Meta. It's a good number. It's already very inspiring. Now this is another 15x bigger number, right? Six no, sorry for my math. It's like over 25x bigger acquisition, meaning if you build an AI startup, you can have a very strong home run level exit, not just IPO. You can get acquired by all the major Mega 7 or hyperscale as well. That's the exit. And those exit is the very inspiring story as a North Star. If you're building an AI startup, there's a potential way you can become successful and get acquired or have an exit. So there's a very strong reasoning and to bring confidence to the market as an investor as well. If any angel investor or VCs want to invest early stage AI companies, that could be the next potential cursor, which you can have another 1,000x. I'm pretty sure early investor of Cursor is making huge return, after this acquisition, right? So those success story, it's where the AI Silicon Valley, right, the whole AI VC world is chasing for, right? We want those home run, we want those success story, we want to bring value to the world, and we want more companies like Cursor. Yeah.
And it does seem like this is an early acquisition in what might be a series of very large numbers, companies getting acquired by the newly IPO'd companies.
Mm.
Reminder to the viewers that OpenAI and Anthropic have not IPO'd yet. And so the amount of capital, first of all, there's a capital story, which
Mm.
is when they print the shares for the new buyers, that is fresh capital coming into the company that appears for the company as if from nowhere because they just issue equity and they don't have to pay it back ever. But
Mm.
there's also the wealth that gets created when the stock price goes up. And
Yeah.
that's what allows the companies to then go and print their shares to acquire
Mm.
companies like Cursor. I'll also remind people in 2006, 20 years ago, Google acquired YouTube for $1.6 billion. Google makes that much from YouTube in probably a few days of revenue now, advertising revenue. Meta, back then Facebook, purchased Instagram in 2012, so 14 years ago, for $1 billion. This is now just pocket change for Mark Zuckerberg now. So these numbers that seem large down the line at times do appear small. So we'll see how this $60 billion acquisition for SpaceX plays out. What about the news, the Anthropic news,
Mm.
Fable 5? We
Right.
get Mythos, a lot of rumors around Mythos, and actually more than rumors, we get information, news stories about some of the exclusive companies that get to use it in advance.
Right.
Then they release it under the Fable name. Then they pull it.
Right.
So explain to us what your thoughts were.
Yeah.
Something for the outside, it's probably less informative than your perspective.
Yeah, for the people who are listening, for people who don't know Coco, we are heavy user of Cloud Code or Anthropic's large model. We're a heavy user of OpenAI's GPT model as well, right? For enterprise solution, we build a multi-agent coordination layer for small media enterprises. We don't build our own large model. We're using the best of the best model in the landscape. We are model agnostic. In the last 2 months, as I've been traveling around the world, I attended the Stripe session in San Francisco. I think 5 weeks ago, I met 3 executives from Anthropic. They were very, very impressive people. We've been very actively watching, monitoring, following in database about all the product release, all the developer release from Anthropic, right? We're heavy follower and heavy user of this company. I'm actually personally investor, as well. I think it's an amazing company. I'm very looking forward to this IPO. With that said, it's definitely very sad to see the U.S. government suspend the whole Fable 5 because it's first time in the AI world, the government actually stepping, like without negotiation, without like proper communication. It was just stepping. It's like literally, this is the news, guys. Stop everything you do. You have to shut down this model, and we can't tell you the legitimate reason. Just somehow it's so scary. It's too powerful, right? So this is a strong signal, right? It's saying we might going to see more and more centralized controlling, even nationalized kind of AI dynamics in the world, right? We are both Bitcoiner, right? We know this Web3 decentralization world mindset, and I think for the people who follow your channel, they love the Bitcoin as well. So it's always this debate where the value capturing, where the power works, how the power shift. Is it just like a bunch of small people make decision and it just change everything, the whole world, that kind of landscape, or we have more AI governance, participatory kind of community decision making, voting kind of structure like Bitcoin or some other stuff, right? I think with Anthropic, OpenAI, unfortunately, although they are the two probably the greatest innovative AI company in the world ever in the history, it is still in very few hands, in terms of power, in terms of decision making. And it's sad to see this amazing model, which we were using for only like less than 2 days. Right? When they released, we start using that, and then we got busy. And then after we come back after the Singapore conference, it's like, oh, it got shut down. We cannot use it. We don't have access to it anymore. It's pretty sad. As a user, I have to say it's pretty sad. I'm not a fan of government have to step in every single decision a tech company is making. It's certainly against the whole free market capitalism, right? Like, tech company have the liberty to do the things they feel it's in their best interest, in the user's interest, and so on, right? And because of the fact it's the government step in, and it creates new dynamics of market structure, the dynamics, as you mentioned. What about their competitors? Does it mean it's good news for OpenAI because they can take more market share? What about GPT-6 come out? It's going to be also very powerful, Mythos level, and then government don't suspend them. Then all the users as us, then we just shift to OpenAI. We're gonna say bye to Anthropic. Is that going to happen? And also, what about all these much cheaper, less quality but much cheaper, cost economically, friendly open source model from China? ByteDance, BytePlus has a huge event last week. Pretty impressive. Cdance 2.0 they're making on the video AI, 20x cheaper than Nano Banana, but very good quality. I was very impressed. Like the whole dynamic shift, it's definitely gonna have some restructuring. Nobody wants to use a company's model and feeding their data, which you don't see the continuity of sustainability. Anytime next week, next month, the government can just shut down entirely. And then you're going to figure out, oh, I paid them the subscription. What I do now? Because I don't have the model to use. All my memory, all the data, context is in this company. So it's a supply chain risk issue, right? When the model came out, a lot of my users or clients who know we are basically supplying the model with our agentic harness, all the product, right? They were like very excited. Fable 5, let's go, Charlie. When are you going to supply us on this? Like we were kind of actively saying, okay, we are still monitoring. We didn't promise, and luckily we didn't promise, like because we know they might not be stable. And guess what? A couple of days later, they just suspend, right? I'm very glad I didn't promise anything to my clients. Otherwise, they would be very upset. With that said, I think it's I wanted to see more really great model come out. And I always believe this free market capitalism, meaning competition creates excellency or greatness, right? Competition in terms of quality, competition in terms of best structure, best governance, and a best price, right? In terms of quality to price ratio. I think that still is what's happening, in the whole landscape of AI model from small media enterprise, from individual knowledge workers or users. They don't have infinite amount of budget they can allocate to other most expensive model. So, and when the most expensive and best model have this supply chain, constraint due to a government, a user from Europe or from Asia who are not American citizen anyway, we're not talking about any patriarchal whatnot. We don't have that access to the model. Then they're gonna switch. So I'm not a lawyer. I don't want to talk too much about lawsuits or whatnot, right? I think that's something we still need to see how they pan out. As a user, we're gonna be model agnostic. We are agentic product company. We're gonna stay model agnostic. We want to work with the best model. We understand the fact it's gonna be very dynamic. This month, this quarter is Anthropic, all of the space. Up to 1 or 2 quarters later, or maybe even 1 year later, it could be other company. So the whole AI race hasn't really finished yet, right? Anthropic is right now probably the most impressive, best company right now. But if they didn't manage this situation well, guess what? We can switch. So it is very dynamic, interesting market. For me, I want to see a lot of good model come out, and then we can lead to really greatness of AI adoption to actually solving real problems for small media enterprise, for knowledge workers to get more things done. Because that productive boost is the actual value to the human society. And for me, that's what I care about. I couldn't care just one company somehow cannot release a model. Like, I'm not the founder of that company. Like, that's their problem, right? We're gonna stick to the model agnostic. I think a lot of companies gonna have the same situation. We're not gonna be one or stuck into one company, one model only. Where we're gonna be model agnostic. We're gonna see how in the entire landscape. It's kind of like Web3, with all the layer one, layer two. Nobody will say you just stuck on one chain, one layer one only, right? Eventually everybody gonna go with the multi-chain interoperability solution. So I think AI, especially the agentic landscape on the application layer, it's gonna be the same.
We'll see just how large the United States blunder is here. Is it a blunder or is it something that will be forgotten in a few days? I'll remind viewers and listeners of the 1990s crypto war between the United States government
Mm,
and private sector cryptographers, basically academics and other hobbyists that were taking some of the innovations that were developing with encryption, such as RSA at the time, and trying to bring uh, mass usage of these technologies to the public. And as they were doing that, the United States government came in and said, this encryption is a weapon, and we will treat it like under munition export laws, and we will prevent you from doing this. And then the cryptography field fought it over the course of a couple years. Phil Zimmerman is the name that is often associated with the hero side on the cryptography side to give cryptographers the right to use cryptography in computer science. The
mm,
federal court that ruled essentially in favor of cryptographers said that cryptography is can be thought of like an economist uses math and model and formulas. And if this is a mathematical tool for a scientist to use, we should allow it. And we can't prevent it. Essentially, it's speech. So does Fable 5 fall into that 1990s crypto war, or is it something completely different? We don't know the answer. Actually, nobody knows the answer to that. I would suggest that nobody knows the answer under a Trump administration, and nobody knows the answer under a non-Trump administration. And both will come into play because it's already 2026. People might hate this, but we are only 2.5 years from another presidential election in this country. So a lot of political drama, and maybe AI is at the center of politics in the United States over the next couple of years. But I don't want to dwell on that anymore because I want people to understand why you started an AI company. You are a
yeah,
Bitcoiner.
right.
You are a technologist. So, what is Coco AI? Why did you start it? Who are you trying to serve? And the
Mm,
Bitcoin layer and Coco have no financial relationship. So, we're
yeah.
here just to understand Charlie's story.
Yeah, I think our story, I think will definitely, I think I'm very confident there's some resonance I can echo to some of the people who are listening. I'm a proud Bitcoiner. I've been holding, buying, stacking my Bitcoin since 2012. I bought my first Bitcoin late 2012, in the Amsterdam Bitcoin meetup. At the time, I would consider that was the good old days. Everybody care about Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, what is proof of work, and how the hash rate works, how to mine Bitcoin, right, and so on. That was kind of how I get to know what is digital asset or what is cryptocurrency in the last 12 years, right? I worked in multiple Web3 companies like Polkadot, Polygon before previously. And we start to deep dive into AI as a user since ChatGPT, right? While you are building software company, in Web3, guys like us, especially me and my co-founders, we are more like we all like very heavy tech fans, right? We follow all kinds of tech trend, including IoTs, 3D printing, all the other interesting stuff, right? Like in 2021 was like VR, metaverse, right? So we follow a lot of things. Certain things we don't really, I'm not a big fan of them. We just follow, but we don't build things. Like AI, we were users because we see AI can be very helpful as a digital intelligence layer, right? For our work, because our work is building software for Web3 at the time. We majority of our cost in monthly burn rate was actually the engineering cost, right? We had a all-time high 60 full-time engineers, so it was a quite a large team. Our monthly burn rate cost was almost like almost half million, all-time high. So the reason we want to deep dive in AI was for the sake of saving cost, understand how AI can help us to improve the workflow, to get more software engineering work done. So that's what the reason I mentioned, right? We were early user of Cursor, and then of course early user of cloud. So our story started of Coco started as a side project. While we were doing our Web3 business, we were like, let's explore building something with AI for enterprises, because that can, something can interesting can come out. And if I don't build things, like the CEO of Coinbase says something very interesting, and I would be following as well. Action creates information, right? If you are just consumer, you just read stuff, but you don't build it. And like in AI world, we will never become anything like relevant, right? We will never achieve anything in the AI world. We will just be an average consumer. And being a builder, you need to actually build stuff. Right? So we started something which is like how we want to build something we want. So we started from like using AI to build a recruitment solution as a recruitment enterprise adoption product. We were using AI agents, AI large model to screening all the resumes, all the potential candidates profile from LinkedIn, social media, and ask using AI to automatically ask a lot of the frequent asked questions before the interview, so to really like 5x, even 10x, shorten the recruitment process, right? Make it easier, seamless, and so on. So that was kind of application like product V1 we delivered, we launched. We have around 20 small media enterprise clients, especially in Singapore. We were kind of testing the market. We had some people interested, and some people even potentially wants to pay for us. But I think the pivotal moment for us to really pivot to like V2 was the Opus 4.5 came out. Anthropic's model Opus 4.5 was so remarkable. It was eye-opening for us. And that was an event that I assigned my junior engineer who needs to do a code review, right? Because we have a repository to launch to merge to GitHub. That repository, it will take him an entire afternoon to review, and I received the review results like by the end of that day, around 5 p.m. And after I received that review, I don't know if that review is good or not. What I did, was like, okay, let me just kind of try the same thing, literally ask the same question to Opus 4.5 to Cloud, and let them do the review. And within 10 minutes, I got the result. And I literally did the A/B testing from an actual human, engineer, employee from my team, and Opus 4.5's outcome. The result was actually, surprisingly, the AI was better in a very, very significant way. So it was like a aha moment for me, like, oh my God, this $200 max subscription cloud code plan with Opus 4.5 is actually fundamentally better structure of output and workforce in the company, right? Well, I'm not saying my engineers was bad. It was more like just, unfortunately, it takes more longer time, and I have a lot of things human cannot see, right? So it's just one example, and it was not at that moment. Okay, we have to make a decision like the next day, but it was the beginning of myself and my co-founder Kevin that we have to seriously think about how we redesign our organization and how we see the world moving forward in the next 2 years. So the vision changed quite a bit. Instead of helping startups to actually hire people better with using AI, we pivot our product to build AI agent team, AI agent workforce for small media enterprise. Our vision changed fundamentally kind of after that kind of event. So it's basically Opus 4.5 was kind of the key moment. We realized the large model is getting so good. It is good enough to seriously consider AI can be the next wave of employee, team members, and workforce for companies, not just individual works use that for fun, just to to search engine and ask some simple question. Is actually serious business work can be done with AI, right? So that's how we started. And OpenClaw was another event which everybody heard about it, right? OpenClaw made history. They got more GitHub star than Rust, than Linux, right? And it took them 15 years, like Linux, to get their star. It took OpenClaw only 6 months. They made history. Everybody get somewhat educated. What is AI agent? What AI agent can do for you? And we start using it as well, right? And two things came out, and we feel like, okay, it's time for us to really seriously pushing harder to build agentic product. One is the bad experience we had using OpenClaw on long context memory kind of work. OpenClaw, when the context window gets large, it tends to forget about a lot of the critical information. So that was a key issue we encountered, especially our CTO Howard, and then he started actually doing research and start building this redesigned agentic model called Osiris, which is our key first product on the agentic OS. That we have a new mechanism which we bring key information. We have this session hook mechanism. When the context window gets to 200K, we bring the key information, critical information, to the next session. So we reduce a lot of token consumption while we have this way of achieving infinite context, but not consuming infinite amount of token. So this is our key product, first product, Zyrus, which I wouldn't say we are competing with OpenClaw, but we fixed the key issue in OpenClaw, and we are using Zyrus since then. The second problem we encounter is all the information silos. My team were using many OpenClaw. I was using 3. My co-founder was using 7. My colleagues were using many. We were all together. We're using almost like 40 OpenClaw altogether, right? Different agents, but it was all in silos. Human has to be the bottleneck. We were kind of copy paste all the output from OpenClaw A to B to C to coordinate, to collaborate. There was no collaboration layer. That was a problem we encountered ourselves while we were doing business ourselves. And my CTO Howard started actually building that as well, based on that kind of feedback. We need to build our infrastructure, almost like an interoperability layer between all this agentic autonomous workforce, right? Between all the OpenClaw, all the other agents as well, to let them communicate directly without too much human in the loop, and let them understand and read the messaging from each other. So HSA Connect is our second product, which we achieve that interoperability between all these different agents to break that isolation and the silos. And that has become our key feature and key product, serving all kinds of small media enterprise clients, because we believe I had my MBA degree, right? I studied corporate management before. In the corporate management world, modern management world, right? The reason company exists because a lot of people with different function, different skill set need to work together, right? And that's the reason you have all these different departments across sales, marketing, finance, product, design, and so on, right? Because they have different function. Interesting thing is AI doesn't really have that kind of function way of thinking. For general purpose large model, AI can do pretty much everything, right? As long as you have the right data, right tooling, right context, and the right request to them, they can achieve a lot of things. But because of the memory, and now we're getting to the agentic AI world, different memory feeding to different agents, they have different skill set, right? And so you kind of have to create this kind of organizational chart for your agents as well. It's not reinvent the wheel in terms of, AI just become another human and we just create another agentic version of bureaucracy. It's not like that, but it's about, you need to categorize different agents into different specific skills. Then they have specialized roles and they can actually collaborate. So I think a lot of people are already using ChatGPT Cloud. Most of people don't have any issue using agent themselves as an individual use case. Where we are right now, and we want to solve that problem, right, for enterprise, and we have over 400 paying customers now globally. Coco want to achieve this multi-agent collaboration for small media enterprise. Let all these company, no matter it's just 5 people to all the way 5,000 people. I consider 5,000 people still like small media enterprise, right? Maybe it's growth stage, but it's not like corporate with like 200,000 people, right? They need to collaborate across different function, different department. So different agents managed by different team needs to able to have this interoperability layer. So that's essentially Coco is doing and delivering the value. and while we're using the best model in the world, right, to achieve the best output. And yeah, we are launching our V3 product, like the custom agent workspace, very soon, which is almost like the AI agent version of Slack. We want to have a better user experience to deliver to the actual human user who wants to manage and monitor all the agents, to give them God's view dashboard, how healthy those agents has been consuming tokens, generating results to the team, to the company. So yeah, the so kind of just to summarize, right? Coco exists, and we co-founded the Coco out of necessity. We need that ourselves, right? And we build features, we build a product based on actual demand came from ourselves. So our principle number one in the design philosophy is, if this feature we don't like it, we don't want to use it ourselves, then this is not a good feature, because we are building things for ourselves. We are kind of eating our own dog food all the time. A lot of the tools, a lot of workflow stuff, we are vibe coded. We've been doing ourselves and using it for ourselves. And I think so far has been probably the best approach we think. And, because our clients see, oh, we are getting so much value by using our own tool. They want to kind of learn from us and, use, purchase and use our solution to fix their problem as well.
I want to, remind people keep their context windows limited and then transfer information over to the next chat by summarizing essentially what you've gotten to, the point that you've gotten to, taking that and copy pasting a prompt into the next one to keep that going. That is the basic of the basic way to start to build memory. Then there's the idea of a personal knowledge base, which I've built for myself. Charlie and I have talked about my second brain and how I'm using Claude Code for that. But then there's the business adoption. Businesses need agents. The agents need to talk to each other. There needs to be persistent memory. There needs to be a built up knowledge base over time that gets better and better. And the tools in order to accomplish this are brand new. And so you're bringing something to the market that fits that use case. But Charlie, the truth of the matter is that most people listening here haven't really moved past that first chat window. And my goal with these AI episodes and bringing founders on like yourself is to really encourage people, get started, try, experiment, push the limit,
Mm,
and listen to people like Charlie. And then what if you compare what he's talking about versus just opening up a single chat, you'll see that there's a huge delta. And don't be scared by it, but you just keep pushing it. You can even ask Claude itself, hey, I want to take this to the next level. I want to start building memory. What are some of the ways that we can do this and we can structure it? The last thing, Charlie, I want to ask you, you said something that hit home and is exactly why I'm interviewing people like you these days.
mm,
You said that when you had your Opus 4.5 moment, and we all have had that moment. I had, for me, it was 4.6, and I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, this would have taken me 2 months.
right,
And I did it in a day.
right.
So you said it didn't just change how our business was going to be structured, but you said it changed how we see the world.
Mm, yes.
What did you mean by that? Because it changed the way I saw the world when I had my moment. I
Right.
want people to get there.
Yeah.
And so each person that tells them
Mm,
how it did change their world, not just their business flow,
yeah.
because that's amateur hour. But a revolution means it changes everything. So if
Yeah.
you can share that with us, please.
So it gets a bit higher level and philosophical, but I think this is fundamentally how I see the world right now. I'm not a IQ 160, crazy genius, but I think I'm fairly well educated. But I didn't really see that until AI really changed my life and see how the world difference. So if we look at AI, the whole landscape, right, the entire overview, all the 5 layer cakes Jensen have been saying, now with an AI agent who can that can actually do the work for you and for your business, right? It gets to a level, and I want to use a story to let people go through the whole mind process. AI needed token. Token is generated by all the large model companies, right? Large model company need all the compute, which come from all the data center. Data center needs to consume a lot of electricity, a lot of energy, right? And also they need a cooling system to make sure it's good. It's almost like Bitcoin mining farm, right? Data center is very high capex kind of infrastructure. It's getting built out hugely in the United States and also in China in many places, which consume a lot of energy. So energy in the physics world eventually can lead to digital intelligence from end to end. Energy come from where? Come from solar, nuclear wind power, all the other, wind, whatever, right? All this energy. So if a lot of AI engineer has been thinking in this world, all the digital intelligence because all the amazing large model transformers paper, all this data center, every single physics level energy from the sun, from whatnot, it's God's willing, it's energy from the universe, and we are transforming that step by step into actual intelligence. And that intelligence is leveling up the entire human civilization. We never have that until this moment in the human civilization, right? We can bring energy to actual useful digital intelligence. This is like the thing, this is the way I'm thinking about life right now. Like that's why a lot of people, including myself, is seriously looking at all the energy company. Where is the bottleneck? Like a lot of people have been saying United States have the energy issue, right? All these crazy high capex, data center needs to get built out. They're gonna consume so much energy. How we can generate energy in a low cost, effective way, right? And that's the whole debate of AI race between China and the United States because of the energy issue. If we have SpaceX, company like SpaceX, which can absorb so much energy, which is gonna waste out in the solar, in the space orbit, right? Then we get so much energy, we can get so much new intelligence. The whole entire civilization of a human being can get much smarter. You know, we can level up in a much higher level human civilization. Like this is the fundamental paradigm shift how we think about the world. The entire, I don't know, 2 million years of, I don't know how many years human has been in the world. 2 million years something, right? From like a monkey era to now, the whole digital intelligence is going to exponentially grow up if we fix the energy issue, and then we just keep leveling up other models, products, and so on, right? So while we have smarter world, we can achieve the true abundance. Like that's kind of how I see as a technologist and a tech builder. I'm very positive, and I feel this is a very inspiring technology and a very great era to be building things in AI, because it's the first time in human history we can see energy in the physical world to get to digital intelligence, to get meaningful things done, which you can make money. It's not for fun. It's not just hobbyist. You can actually make money, deliver real work, and somebody else somehow need it, and they're gonna pay for you. No matter it's content, right? All this premium AI generated content, it's getting so good, like you can't even decipher it's actually made by human or made by AI now, right? And all these reports generated by Claude, all these like AI agents, and many things along the ways. But down on the funnel, all the way down, like from the supply chain, all this AI generated the intelligent work is energy. So this this kind of structure completely changed my way of how I look at the whole world, right? Like we get all the energy from the universe, from the sun mostly, right? So it's like that's the level of abundance we can unlock, and I think that's the reason why Elon Musk, when they say he's pitching to the world, right? SpaceX is going to be one of the biggest data center because they're going to build a data center in space. That's probably one of the biggest reason to justify that this company worth 2 trillion, right, market cap, because this is the first company in the world that can unlock this huge potential of true abundant energy source.
Very well said, Charlie. I strongly agree with how inspirational and potentially world changing this digital intelligence layer is. I would encourage people to check out the bitcoinlayer.substack.com. I wrote a month ago a letter called The Token Layer, in which I proposed that tokens are the new oil, because it's with oil that we can convert work and innovation into capital. Now we can use tokens and convert it into intelligence. It is a fuel that we've never had before, and it can level up the entire human race. And that might be the optimism and the optimistic side of me. But there are other people out there that agree with me. Charlie is one of them. We really appreciate your insights today. Thank you for sharing with us the story of your company, some of the updates on the AI industry, but also your worldview and your vision for how AI is changing everything. So, Charlie, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. Tell people where they can find Coco AI.
Yeah, first of all, thank you. Great podcast. Great honor to share my view in front of your listeners, viewers. For people who are interested to look at other frontier AI agent for small media enterprises, for people who wants to try some of the interesting innovative products in low cost, affordable cost, right? Products. Check out Coco.ai. That's our website, and you can find us on search us on Twitter, Coco AI. We share some of deep thinking research report, obviously all this landscape across all the AI conference. Are we going to try our best to share a lot of use cases? And I think we are now in this AI is getting to the world. A lot of meaningful use case is being adopted. So we want to keep sharing that from our clients, from ourselves, from other friends who are using our products. And I think that's the most relevant content the people who are now actively using AI agent needs to see. And we are currently helping over 400 enterprise already across many different sectors, and we're going to keep doing that.
Absolutely. We want people to start. We want them to try. We want them to push the limit. And you can't push the limit until you just get started. And so we really want to encourage people to take even the free version of whatever model that they're using, and see how far with it you can go. Charlie Hu, Coco AI, thank you so much. I want people to go check out research.thebitcoinlayer.com. Check out what we've built with AI, what we've built with Claude Code. We have a great AI tab that's available to people for free, completely for free, with all of the economics behind this revolution. How much capex is going on, the energy consumed, the DRAM prices, some of the single name equities that are performing incredibly well, the adoption rates across different models, and much, much more. Research.thebitcoinlayer.com. Thank you so much. I'm Nick Bhatia with the Bitcoin Layer. We'll catch you guys next time.